All right, let's do this here. Welcome, guys. Wait for everybody to join. Today, April 22nd. I guess it's still Walking Dead Sunday. Fear the Walking Dead Season 4, Episode 2 is tonight. I'm excited for it somewhat. I think that it should be pretty good. If you saw the spoiler video or for potential spoilers that we posted, it should be pretty good. I'm hoping that, what's up, Tudor? Just hopefully that we'll get some answers from Season 3 to Season 4. If you're watching this and you're worried about spoilers, we're going to talk about Season 8 of The Walking Dead because it aired last Sunday. The finale, where it may go, what did we see, setting up Season 9, any news, any of that stuff. So if you're worried about spoilers, stop watching. I don't want to ruin it for you. If people ask questions, I will answer them. So I don't know what people are going to ask. So today's Sunday, April 22nd, and we're probably about 6 months away from For the Walking Dead Season 9. It'll probably come about the third week in October. That's what it was this past season. Last October was the start of Season 8, and I think it'll be around the same time on the calendar, which would be October 21st. I think it'll be that. Makes sense for it. So I thought I'll get into it. I'll give you my thoughts about The Walking Dead Season 8 finale, the Fear the Walking Dead premiere, and just Fear the Walking Dead and Walking Dead universe as a whole. So I'll wait for a couple more people to join, and then we'll keep rolling here. We'll keep talking about a couple things. I saw A Quiet Place on Friday, and I thought that was pretty good. If you haven't seen it and you like the zombie apocalyptic kind of sci-fi horror film in one, it's not a zombie movie by any means, but it's definitely a post-apocalyptic world kind of thing after something big happens. And I like John Krasinski, who played Jim on The Office. I like just the story, how it was being told. It's a shorter movie. It's about an hour and 30 minutes. I don't want to give anything away. I want you to go see the movie. So if you haven't seen A Quiet Place, definitely check it out. I saw it on Friday, and I liked it. I thought it was really good. I'm excited for Avengers Infinity War this Friday coming up. And just talk about a couple more things there. So what did you guys think of the Season 8 finale? I've seen mixed reviews. Some people loved it. Some people thought it was boring. Some people thought Fear the Walking Dead was better. Some people thought this was better. Some people thought that was better. I loved the Season 8 finale, how it set up Season 9. What I didn't like is the outcome of Negan and Rick. I would have loved for it to be Negan gets killed, but we know where that's going. We know where the story's going. We know where the future of the show is. We need Negan around for various, stories, arcs, just things that come up, and Negan being around is that whole thing. The whole Maggie situation was kind of tough because I don't like her being considered or questioned or thought of as a villain, even though I can understand that she doesn't want Negan around and Negan to live, right? Who would want that? I mean, there's no way. But I didn't like the music and the lighting and the way she said something, basically threatening Rick and Michonne. Not a big fan of that. I like the idea of the Whisperers coming around in Season 9. Probably we'll get it, the first introduction of them, 3, 4, maybe even 5 episodes in. If they go by the story, if they bring new people in, if they bring the helicopter people or Magna or certain things around, Season 9 should be pretty good. We're going to have filming, pictures, and information and news all year round because they're going to start filming in about 2 weeks, or at least reporting to start filming in 2 weeks. First week in May, probably, like the second week, kind of first full week in May is typically when they start filming, which is about 2 weeks away. And that's pretty awesome to see. I love filming season for The Walking Dead because it's speculation. Who's going to be there? What's going to happen? Who's going to be seen? Who's not going to be seen? New cast, new this, new locations, putting stuff together. I like it because you can put ideas together and some news comes out. Some people don't like it because it gives stuff away and it gives this away in there too. But I like the idea of it setting up and finding out some information for it. So I liked the Walking Dead Season 8 finale. I just thought it was too much of Walking Dead stuff to go right into Fear the Walking Dead, and then it was kind of a little slow in the initial start, and then Morgan walking and walking and walking and walking and walking, and then Carr and more walking and this, and it's like, man, this is taking some time to build up a little bit after we just had a finale of season 8 that kind of resolved the war. To go into this kind of slow moving episode was kind of a little much. Now, I like the idea of having some new characters, and we'll see if some questions are answered. I need to have season 3 connect with season 4 on the show for it to make sense, because would we even waste our time watching the first 3 seasons of Fear the Walking Dead if you haven't seen it and it doesn't connect? And it's like, you didn't have to see that to connect. Well, that's pretty dumb. Basically, we just wasted our time watching the first 3 seasons of a show and for it to make no connection whatsoever. How is Luciana there? How is Strand there? How long they've been there? What's it going to be there too? So I think that the connection of the Fear the Walking Dead coming to that is a ploy to bring people over to that show, because not nearly as many people watch Fear the Walking Dead as they watch The Walking Dead. It's like 7.6 million people watched the season 8 finale, which was low. I'll talk about the ratings and stuff and why it was low in a second. But if you think about it, The Walking Dead had super low ratings of 7.6 million. Shows would kill to have that, including the Fear the Walking Dead show. And Fear the Walking Dead needs a tie-in to connect it with it. And I doubt any of their prior episodes came close to half that. Probably 2, maybe 3 million people watched Fear the Walking Dead an episode at a time. But I like the idea of them connecting. And I was thinking about this. As I was putting my Shane hat on, I literally thought of big things. Like when you watch The Walking Dead, right? The Walking Dead has characters that we all love and we hate. Maybe you're a Rick guy. Daryl, Michonne, Maggie, Carol, Carl, Negan. There are characters that you love. Morgan, whoever, right? On the Fear the Walking Dead, who do you like? Who do you love? Maybe you like Daniel or Nick. Some people like Madison. I really don't. But also, when you think of The Walking Dead, you think Rick Grimes, right? You think his Colt Python pistol. You think Daryl Dixon. You think his crossbow. You think Carol. You think her knife. You think Carl. You think the eye patch. You think the sheriff hat. When you think Abraham, you think his gun. When you think of Morgan, you think of the bow staff. When you think Negan, you think of Lucille. When you think of Michonne, you think of the katana. Where's that on Fear the Walking Dead? Where is their iconic weapons and connections and something that you think about that too? Don't really see that at all. At all. Strand, you can't really say he has a weapon. Nick, Madison, Travis, Alicia, where are those connections with that too? Like, I just don't see that coming there ever. And maybe that's not what they want to do with the show, but we're so used to seeing one way to go to Fear the Walking Dead. It's just night and day, 2 different kind of things. So I think I like the idea on paper of Fear the Walking Dead connecting with The Walking Dead, but we'll see how it ends up with things. I don't know, Boyd, if Daniel... I think Daniel's gone. I don't really know. Hopefully that gets answered. Another thing is, like, where's Daniel? Luciana's there, but how did she get there on there as well? So, hey, Jan, how we doing? But Daniel, I don't think anybody's going to come from Fear the Walking Dead to The Walking Dead until they come back or they go with Morgan, which would probably be in 2, maybe 3 seasons. But The Walking Dead had not extremely, but super low ratings for the season 8 finale. Various reasons why. One, it was the first time you could ever go to a movie theater to go watch it. So I don't know how many movie theaters showed the episodes, but say 100 of them. And usually normal capacity of a movie theater is somewhere between 140, 150, or even bigger, the movie theaters. Some of the theaters have different size venues in it. Maybe they were bigger, maybe they were smaller, but that is thousands and thousands of people watching it in the movie theater. That doesn't count towards the ratings. Also, people DVR it. They watch it the next day. They watch it 2 days later. They watch it streaming services. They don't go by that. I don't like the idea of the ratings being that big a deal. The Walking Dead is the king of cable. I don't really call it basic cable, because when I think basic cable, I think of Fox, ABC, NBC, CBS, maybe like a local weather channel or something like that. That's to me is basic cable, antenna television. but I guess it is certain basic cable, but it's cable television. It's the king of that. You're telling me a show wouldn't want 7 million people to watch them week in and week out? That's extremely high for a show, and The Walking Dead is still the king of that. But a lot of people make a big thing out of The Walking Dead is going down, The Walking Dead is sucking, it's going down with the writing, and people are tired of it, and people are this. Well, the writing has made questionable things. I think that the writers have done some good things, some bad things. They brought some good things in, like the Carl thing is stupid. It didn't need to happen. We ended up in the same thing, in the same situation at the end of the war that we were going to have if Carl was there or not. It just doesn't make sense. But the reason why Negan is alive, because Carl wanted it that way, which a season ago he wanted to kill Negan. But either way, it doesn't make sense. But either way, Carl is gone. That's not a good decision in my ideas for it. But no, I don't watch 100. I watched a couple episodes of 100, and I just couldn't really get into it. And I don't really watch World War Z. I watch Z Nation, but I don't really watch too much other television besides a couple shows here and there. But overall, guys, I think Season 8 of The Walking Dead was pretty good. How about you guys? What did you think? I think it was a nice return to what we needed after Season 7. The saviors were all powerful and all strong, and there was like a billion of them. Even when they took out Outpost, there was more of them. And then they got more. Then we got Regina and another one. When you had Simon, we got Arat and so many other characters that were there. And we lost some big characters like Simon for their side. But other than that, we didn't really lose too many people. I think Regina could still be around. She got shot in the leg. Maybe she doesn't make it. But me too, Paul. I'm glad the Walking Dead war, all-out war, is over. I'm ready for back to kind of survival mode, see where we're at when they're building stuff on there too. So, yeah, I agree too, Tudor, that Fear doesn't have anything iconic at all. There's really nothing there that's drawing you in week in and week out. And if you saw the spoiler video, we're going to eventually get introduced to another group on Fear the Walking Dead that's kind of like, sounds like, at least on paper, that's kind of a clone of the Saviors. Kind of a thing like that. So not sure where they're branching out too much to that they're coming around certain things where they're picking up ideas of Fear the Walking Dead, or they're sticking with ideas of The Walking Dead that weren't the best ideas to begin with. Like, I know Madison is not as bad as Lori, but it's basically like Lori Grimes is leading a group. That's what I see Madison, and she's better than Lori, don't get me wrong, but Madison is kind of like that, the thing as I see. Then you have like a savior type group with the vultures or whatever coming here, and then you have just smaller characters that are just trying to pick up the slack and doing things that aren't really that captivating and aren't that exciting for it too. I like the idea of it, different locations and everything, but I just need it to be a little more worthwhile. And I said this before and I'll say it again. I don't care about any of these characters. Like if Daryl died or Rick died or Michonne died or Maggie or Carol or Morgan or Ezekiel or Jerry or certain characters, I would kind of be upset. But if Nick or Strand or Alicia or Madison or any of those characters died, I wouldn't care. I could care less. I'm like, all right, move on, next character. It was kind of sad when Travis went, but you know, that kind of sucked, but ultimately, he didn't really do much in the whole series until season 3, and then he gone. So, I don't know. So, Pantera, why do you say that Madison is awesome? Give me some explanations why you think Madison is awesome. I mean, she does a couple things here and there, but I don't know. I just don't. The lack of emotions and expressions, and she doesn't shed a tear, and she doesn't be happy or excited or anything like that is pretty annoying. You can't say that about Rick and other characters like that too. But ultimately, The Walking Dead is going to be where it's at for this genre and this series and the thing, and there's going to be no topping that. I don't know if Fear the Walking Dead will ever come close to that or try to do that or whatever, but Fear the Walking Dead is kind of like fill the void of The Walking Dead, because it's going to be going for 6 months. We'll get probably 8 weeks and then a break and then 8 weeks for it too. So Yeah, root for the walkers. That's a little wrong, but I could see where they're like, come on, just bite this guy already and end it. So we'll see if John and Althea and Naomi and Rick and Morgan can kind of bring the show up to par. There was an article by Jeffrey Dean Morgan on comicbook.com that Jeffrey Dean Morgan already said this at Walker Stalker Atlanta last year in the panel. If you want to check it out, you can see a couple-part panel. Jeffrey Dean Morgan says he would love to have a Negan story miniseries. And I would love to see that too. I would love to see it this summer if it was like 4 episodes of the Here's Negan storyline. Because the Here's Negan is a small comic. It's like 1 issue put together in multiple packages. Like it came out every so often, and it wasn't the biggest issue out. But Here's Negan shed some light on Negan. And if Negan's going to be around for a season or 2 or 3 or more, you need to have backstory of him. And I don't want it in an episode of The Walking Dead because I hate bottle episodes, and that would be a huge bottle episode, a Negan backstory episode. I want a 3 or 4 episode miniseries, not a webisode. Give me half hour something or 45 minutes or whatever of Here's Negan, and call it that. Here's Negan. And we get to know Negan, because it'll help the character out a lot, and you'll see that he's not actually a terrible villain like we saw him kill Glenn and Abraham. But I think it will help out, especially if you're going to keep him around and give the iconic storylines that you're going to have with Negan potentially for season 9, 10, and beyond. But we need to have that. So, will Negan escape or conform? Well, it's kind of both there. I think I was looking to see what issue it is that Negan, that thing gets resolved. But like I said at the beginning, spoilers, I'm going to talk about some things from the comic that may happen on the show, that Negan eventually gets out of the jail cell. I mean, we all knew that, right? So I would love the idea. Yeah, exactly. Here's Negan shooting in the winter. You could shoot it 4 weeks, 4 episodes, done. Doesn't have to be much. It can be him coming to the sanctuary right before at a hospital. You can see his wife beforehand with Lucille and stuff. It would bring a lot to it. I think it would be a lot, and I think the ratings would do really well. And Negan will have some story that'll be like, whoa, Negan's actually kind of a guy that we can kind of root for a little bit. As weird as that would sound. Maybe you like him, maybe you don't. But, there's no going back if Negan killed one of your favorite characters. So I think that is pretty interesting. So let me see. Pantera, tough decision, willing to do whatever is necessary. That's Madison, Rick's equal. Well, yes, Madison is kind of considered to be the leader of Fear the Walking Dead, which is kind of debatable of who's actually the show is about. Is it Madison or is it Nick? Because Nick was the first person we saw in the Fear the Walking Dead episode, but it was about Madison's kid, so it's kind of debatable of who's actually Fear about. Is it Madison or is it Nick? I actually like Nick. Nick's one of my favorite characters on the show, and Daniel, of course. I want to see, Walker and Crazy Dog and some characters coming around again. I want to see that too. But yes, Rick loses fights. He gets beat up. I don't know if he ultimately loses fights, but he gets beat up pretty good. And did you see, I said in the season 8 review, of the finale review, is how did Rick have a wound on his side before he got hit with the bat by Negan? So if you see it, if you watch the season 8 finale, watch kind of towards the end of the episode when Rick's going after Negan, and Negan gets away, of course, because that's what happens. And Rick takes a shot, and he's a terrible shot. And he hits the stained glass, and he's holding his side as he shoots. He's already kind of bloody there. And people are like, oh, because he got hit with the bat there. Well, no, he got hit with, I guess, a gunshot there. In a deleted scene or a promo picture from the season 8 finale, there's a guy with a gun on him as Rick's against the trunk of a car, like kind of bracing himself. We never saw that. We didn't see it in the show, but ultimately he got hit in the side with a bullet wound or something, and that's kind of a big deal, right? So the way they edited some things and the way they did it, we kind of were still out of the know. So it was kind of annoying, but I saw that and I was like, he's kind of holding his side when he's shooting at Negan, so that kind of would have explained why he couldn't shoot, because maybe the aiming and maybe it torqued his core or whatever, but I don't know. So it was kind of interesting for that. But overall, I thought the season 8 finale was good. If you were believing the stuff, I don't know how you couldn't believe that the Whisperers were foreshadowed and talked about and kind of Easter eggs and connections with later on. I don't know how you don't see that because of the fence posts and the huge horde that was there in the distance. And I said in the one thing that Jerry says, you ever see one that big? And that's kind of a funny joke, like that's what she said, kind of a joke. But Jerry said that in relation to the herd or the horde or whatever you want to call it, that huge group of walkers that were out in the middle of the woods or the field or the whatever you want to call that. There was kind of wooded area around it, so I guess it's a field. But what did you think he was talking about? Obviously, the horde drawing attention to it, but to me, it would be awesome if that's kind of an Easter egg or a connection with it, that he's talking about Beta. Yes, he didn't see Beta in the distance. There's no way you could see that far. But what if Jerry, I hate to say it, gets killed by Beta? Because Beta is bad news. Beta and Alpha coming to the show is not good for the show, the characters. I mean, it's good for the show, but it's not good for these characters because they're going to start thinning out the herd, ready to get rid of some of these characters, and we'll see it probably off screen or when they're introduced. If you know when the Whisperers are kind of formally introduced, it's not good because a lot of characters die from it. They wipe out a whole bunch of them. But what if Beta comes in and takes out Jerry? That would piss me off. You know, Beta has to be introduced in a bad way, and so with Alpha, but I wouldn't want that to happen, and they might have foreshadowed it there. Or he runs into Beta and maybe he defends himself, but Beta is going to be, I think that casting should be pretty awesome, and I'm excited for Alpha and Beta to come to the show. I think it'll be really good. It'll be a clear drawing factor of good versus bad, because the Whisperers are definitely bad, that's for sure. Do you think Negan would replace Rick? Paulie, what do you mean? Are you meaning in the comic? Are you meaning in the show? Are you meaning what do you mean in reference to that? Because I think something big is going to happen in issue 200 of The Walking Dead. I don't know if it's going to be Rick's death or Negan's death or what, but we're away from that. We're coming up on the 180s pretty soon, so we got many more time down the road. But issue 100 was the first showing of Negan. He could have 100 issues and be gone, or maybe Rick gets taken out there too. So, exactly, Kelly. Ezekiel's head's going to be on a pike. They kind of said that with that weird savior guy. When your head on a pike will do just fine is what he said. So, they've been hinting at that. And we all kind of know some things are bad for certain characters. But we'll see if there's a remix here and there, if we get the comic connections with certain character deaths, because they ultimately remix some things, like the Abraham death was Denise, and this death was that, and the lineup had 2 deaths instead of 1, but neither of those characters are in the war. So they go around people and they get to different tangents, but The Walking Dead ended the war the way we're going to end the war. That's for sure. They get to certain big, huge points, and they get there one way or another. Maybe they go around the bend when it used to be a straight line in the comic, but I think it's going to be an interesting way what they do for Season 9, how they introduce certain characters and what they do. So, a great question. Do you think Jerry will survive the whole show? I hope so. I don't know. I would like Jerry too. I like Cooper Andrews. He's awesome. But I don't know. We're going to have heartbreak again. We're going to have to lose characters, and no one's safe on The Walking Dead. And obviously, ask Chandler Riggs. But I think we're going to lose some characters, some beloved characters in seasons 9 and 10 for sure. I think that's going to be a big thing, and it's going to suck as we had. There's certain characters that the story is going to stick around. Like I could see Jerry dying, but Tara living. And you're like, that's what the writers are going to do. And you're like, come on, that's just, I don't need that character over that character. I need certain people to stay around. Like Jared needed to die many more episodes before his death. but Carl went out before Jared did in this latest seasons. You know, it's kind of like, come on, that's just dumb. So, Kelly, yes, I believe Negan will escape the jail cell. The big kind of connections could be who helps him out. Is it a boy like in the comic that the Whisperers are kind of connected with that? Is it Jadis? Does Jadis become connected with the Whisperers? Is it somebody else? Well, another great question, Kelly. Will Dwight and Sherry come back? I think so. I think we'll see them again. I don't think they're going to be written off the show. I think Dwight and Sherry could have a different connection with the Whisperers instead of the Saviors. Because who's going to run the Saviors now? In the comic, it's pretty different now because I guess Dwight still could, but I wouldn't think so if he's going to go look for Sherry, and Sherry doesn't know that Negan is gone. Sherry's not coming back to the sanctuary. What if Dwight goes and finds Sherry and they come back to the sanctuary and they do that? But we'll see. So, yeah, me too, Janet. I want to see Maggie and the Gregory situation done, and that's kind of what I think Maggie was kind of hinting at. Yeah, it could be Henry that lets out Negan. That would be terrible, but I know Henry is at the Kingdom. He's not at Alexandria, and that's where Negan's going to be held in the jail cell. So Henry could come to the Alexandria. There should be a blending of people there, too. It should be Jerry's at Alexandria or Hilltop and this, and Henry's there, and they come around. But it could be Henry. It could be Jadis. It could be some new character altogether. But we'll see that. But I think Maggie was talking about protecting Hilltop, being protective of the Hilltop, having it run better. They're going to thrive there. They're going to do that. It's going to be the best it's ever been, basically. And Gregory needs to go, and Gregory will go. That's for sure. Probably season 9. It would make the most sense if that was season 9 because Gregory needs to go. We need Gregory to be gone. But the big question will be if Lauren Cohan gets a contract for season 9 and beyond. I hope so. I hope she at least gets a contract for season 9 and they actually give her something. Maybe it's not a 3-year deal. Maybe it's a 1-year deal and they come back to the table and they kind of renegotiate with it. So I think that'll be pretty good for it. So Kelly, you're asking some good question. Is Jadis related to Georgie? We just don't know. There's no way to tell if Jadis is connected or related to somebody. I think she's just her own person, her own unrelated to any other characters. I think she's just a loner, hipster kind of person that was a painter, artistic person before all that, and maybe she had some connections after and she could kind of sell her artwork, or maybe she was a well-known artist before all this. You never know. That'd be kind of crazy. I'm interested to see what happens with Jadis or Anne, which was kind of crazy that she's going by a different name now. And remember, she told that to Morgan, and then Morgan left. So are people going to start calling her Anne now? Or does Morgan just know when Morgan left to go to Texas, and now they still call her Jadis, and we'll hopefully see some connection with that and the solar panels, because I think beta actor, will they release the actor news before season 9 starts? Raiden Roach, I'm not sure if, well, it doesn't come out by like the AMC sources. It's people outside of there that know the spoilers and know inside of there that who got cast at certain positions. Like, that's where the Maria Bello rumor has come. Like, she was supposed to be in season 8, and maybe we'll see her, and we're going to do this. Like I don't know if that ever happened. I don't know if she ever got the job, or she might have been a perfect person to play Beta, or Beta Alpha, or a perfect person to play Magna. And so someone thought, oh, she's going to come on the show. And not all the sources like IMDb or this Wikipedia and stuff are the best sources all the time. People can just put that on there and say, oh, yeah, she's going to be in season 8. We didn't see her. She's not season 8. And there was no alpha or beta or anything like that. So that all could be hearsay. Maybe she's there. Maybe she's not. We just don't know what happens with the sources altogether. I know that I think Maria Bello coming to the show would be great, but I would want her to be a bigger character than just playing a walker or some minor role, because she's a good actress, and I want to see the actress, have a bigger role for that to it. So do you think the Whisperers took Sherry after she wrote the note to Dwight? I don't know. My theory is that Sherry was kind of taken in by the Whisperers or kidnapped by them, and then she wrote the letter to Dwight to make him come there, to kind of put out a search for more people and to bring in Dwight to join the Whisperers. And then Dwight doesn't join, and then he comes back and warns Rick. He's got a problem with Daryl because Daryl said, if I ever see you again, I'm going to kill you. which do you agree with or not? Do you agree with Daryl and Dwight having problems still going forward? So I think so. I think there's kind of a nice little turmoil there because they're kind of the same person for that. What's up, M. King? Thinking that I would like to see how that happens. What happens with Sherry and Dwight and the Whispers? Or maybe it was just honeymoon forever, the infinity sign. Or maybe Alpha was putting that there to get people recruited, to bring people in, because the Whisperers probably didn't start out as this big giant group, and there could be up to a 2-year time jump from season 8 to season 9 if they do that or not. So I think it's pretty interesting for that. So I don't think they'll delay it, Boyd. I think that The Walking Dead is going to keep rolling whether they got Lauren under contract or not. They need to keep rolling. They keep making that money. They got contracts. They got a season 9 contract for